Okay, EQ. Everyone loves EQ. Everyone, when you first start with EQ, you think I can just change the world and make everything great. And you can't really. The thing about EQ, which is right here on the console, the best advice is if you don't know much about EQ, or you haven't used it very much, or you haven't got to try it a bit, start with it off. So you can either turn EQ off, or these blue knobs, the 4 blue knobs, set them all at 12 o'clock. And then you have no EQ. That's the best place to start. What EQ is, and when you do want to start doing it, is basically it's separating the sound of the signal, in this case my voice, into 4 different bands of frequencies. Low, low mid, and it's labeled LM, high mid, and high. Okay, so it's separated, and these bands are volume controls for those frequencies. In the middle, it's regular volume. If I turn it up, it's more high, and if I turn the high down, it's less high. Okay, and it's the same for, let's say, the mids. More mid, less low mid. It's regular, just the way it should sound, or I'm taking away the mids. So they're a bit different than a regular volume control in the sense you can add or you can take away. Now, the next one is you can't change the sound of somebody's voice with this. I mean, it's still going to be their voice. In general, the reason why we use EQ is to make something more intelligible or to make more than one instrument blend together really well. And there's a couple tips that are really going to help you with EQ. One of them is pretty much anybody who sings on the type of microphones that we have in this church, you want to roll off or take away some of the low, especially with a male voice. So taking away low is really, really worthwhile. And a female voice, nobody's singing down there anyways, so there's no harm in it being down. If I ever saw this, I could pretty much say the sound would be bad. And right now it is. It's all booming. It's all boom. We don't need boom. Generally, we want to take low away. The other one is the highest frequency band can help with intelligibility. It doesn't mean it will be perfect. But in general, taking this away is going to make something very difficult to understand. And adding it can often make it easier to understand. Okay? Now, if you add too much, you're going to have problems with feedback. But in general, if you're boosting a bit the highs and lowering the lows, that's going to be helpful for any voice. Even some instruments it will be helpful too. The other thing about EQ, where you get more in depth, is you can start to take care of problems like feedback. For example, if you have a microphone on a choir, you can actually get feedback. And these other 2 bands, the high mid and the low mid, are very, very powerful at that. Because you'll notice they each have 2 knobs. They have the blue knob, which adds or takes away level. This black knob is actually at which frequency do they take away or remove level. So you'll notice here it says 1K, 400 hertz, 250 hertz. It's totally small. And I'll actually give you a little demo of what that sounds like. For example, I'm going to turn the frequency all the way down and I'm going to boost it. So you'll notice there's lots of low end being added. But as I turn the frequency, you'll hear that it's not low end that is being added, it's mid-range. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Okay, that's the frequency being changed. Now, why would you want to do this? You want to do it to get rid of feedback. And so let's say I just put this microphone here, and let's make some feedback, because that's always a fun thing to do. This is not something you do during regular service or anything like that, but I encourage you to come here when nobody's in here and play with this. We're actually going to turn the gain up a bit, and we're going to turn the gain of the sound system up a bit. And we're actually going to make it, we're going to start raising this gain here just to make feedback. So we'll start hearing it soon. Check. Hear that fun feedback? That's feedback, right? Okay, that's by having too much gain going through the system. But I can find that frequency and get rid of it. Okay, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to set this frequency at low, and I'm going to cut. And now I'm going to raise the frequency up until I find that frequency, and you'll hear the feedback go away. There, it's gone. So I found that feedback was happening around 150 hertz, was making that feedback go away. So now I have more gain. I can actually even add more gain now. I'll probably hear different feedback. There's one that's higher. Okay, we're going to get rid of that now. Oh, one second, let me get it higher. And there's another one up there too. Around there. There. I just got probably an extra, I'm going to talk in technical terms, 3 to 4 dB more level before feedback, which means there's now less chance of having feedback. Sometimes people call that ringing out the room. It looks really challenging, but if you can get here on your own and nobody's in here, it's totally safe to make feedback. Just have your hands in the control. If it gets loud, turn it down. But that's where you use those controls for. Not for making something sound better, it's for making it have a less chance of having feedback. It's really, really fun to play with. Try it out.